is 10 and a half years old. So if you can imagine coming into a shelter after living in a home for over 10 years.
We are seeing more surrenders due to,
yes, the economy, yes, a lot more. So this little girl's having, a really hard time adjusting to the shelter environment. And so these orange cards here are notes that the volunteers make about how she's doing every day. And we keep track of the date and the amount of time that we spend with each cat, and then we make notes. So then when I come and see her for the first time, I'll have an idea of how she's behaving. So it helps communicate between volunteers. But coming into the shelter at that age is really hard, and so she's exhibiting a lot of fearful behavior, but different than the other cat we looked at, because she's very frozen and afraid. So usually what we do is we spend more time working with the ones that are scared. So we might just go really slowly with her. The notes that I read said it's possible to pet her on her head and she'll accept that. So that's why I'm not being super cautious. But I usually go slowly, and again, we might take 20-30 minutes to
This is a little bit rushed to expect it. But she's had other people lately petting her, right?
Attention, volunteer Karen. You can come to the front door and get a key. Volunteer Karen, we have a key plate.
Why is it that she's in her litter box? She feels safer?
It's a common behavior for scared cats. I have no idea why they do that, but you see it commonly. Usually what we like to do is give them kind of a snuggly so that they can have that feeling of being safe outside of the litter box. But for whatever reason, a lot of the kittens and cats will jump in their litter box, and I don't know why they do that. But I might just scratch her on her head for a little while. She's blinking a little bit, which is a good. Usually we talk softly to her.
Hey guy, how are ya? Oh, you're a cutie.
And they oftentimes like their cheeks rubbed.
Are there some that you work with more than others, or
we tend
you have to spend so much time with each one?
Right. So it's always a balance depending on how many cats we have, and we have a set of dedicated volunteers who come in. We try to come in every day and work with them. The ones that are shy like this really benefit from the long visits. So I might sit here for 30 minutes and really work with her.
I like your approach where you're down at her level and you seem very calm.
Exactly. And the tone of your voice is important. The way you move is important. The way you touch them. And she doesn't have that fear aggression that you saw. And the other, she'll look at me a little bit.
This is interesting because it's the first time I've had a chance to observe surrendered cats and the kind of work you do with them.
Yeah, and you wouldn't expect this is the kind of behavior you'd see in a
that if
surrendered
you surrender
cat.
Your cat. Most people think, oh well, it's a beautiful cat. They're so lovey, and they're going to be adopted. Do you ever tell folks anything about?
I don't interact with the public. I have no idea what they tell them at the front desk. I think they'd be honest if people asked.
I've seen Tony almost do an intervention where she tried to allay some of the concerns, but wasn't able to, was unsuccessful.
Yeah, I mean, even when I take my cat to the vet, she becomes a little bit of a hisser, and she's one of the nicest cats I've ever known. So I think cats are not creatures who go out on walks. They don't meet a lot of different people. They tend to be animals that stay in a home.
And dogs do, but even they, I've seen adopt very different behavior when they go to a strange place, or they know they're going in the wrong direction in the car, or you're somewhere else.
So I think cats are extra sensitive to changes in their living environment. So I'm watching how she's breathing. I'm watching how she's moving. You know, she puts her head up a little bit after I move my hand away. I look at if she blinks her eyes. Her eyes are closing a little when I'm petting her, so she's leaning into it a little bit. But she's not purring and.
Is this the mother of her kids now? I'd like to see that.
Adorable.